So just to get started, another piece here. Actually, I introduced this a little later. So I would like to extend a very warm welcome and thank you for joining our presentation today. My name is Tiffany Wood Lysette, and I am a school social worker with the Safe Schools and Wellbeing portfolio at the Thames Valley District School Board. And my colleague on screen here, Caitlin, will introduce herself now as well.
Hello, everybody, and welcome. As Tiffany said, thank you so much for joining us tonight. It's really exciting to see the ongoing number of participants joining us. My name is Caitlin Chow, and I am an educator with the Thames Valley District School Board. I typically have worked in the elementary panel, and this year I am fortunate to work with the Safe Schools and Wellbeing portfolio, working alongside Tiffany, doing activities like this, as well as supporting a number of schools directly.
Today, we are very excited, thrilled actually, to welcome Jennifer, Clara, and Martha from the Middlesex London Public Health Unit. Um, we really want to celebrate these folks because they are school-based public health nurses who support our system students and families through a wide range of health needs, including individual consultations and healthy schools efforts as well. You may know that we are here to highlight well-being promotion, especially during Mental Health Week this week. And Martha and Jennifer and Clara are joining us to discuss sleep hygiene practices for children and youth. Now, as a mental health professional, I also want to lead by reiterating that things like food and nutrition, the presentation we had last night, and sleep are essential contributions to our overall mental health. And many people don't know that poor quality of sleep, for example, can have a really significant and negative effect on overall mental health. And in that very same light, I am certain that we are about to learn some best practices and more information to promote healthy sleep hygiene for our children and youth, which can absolutely contribute to their overall well being. So, Martha and Clara and Jennifer, when you're ready to maybe actually, you don't even have to turn anything on because we're going to take a little bit of a different method today. We want to say thank you very much for joining us to our presenters. And we are going to turn things over to a recording that they have prepared for us.
Good evening, and thanks so much for having us here. My name is Jennifer Lindberg, and I'm a public health nurse from the Middlesex London Health Unit on the secondary school team. I have with me Martha Valley and Clara Vidichka. They are public health nurses from the child health team, and we are so excited to be sharing some important information about sleep. This is such an important topic for families and for everyone in general, as I think most people would agree, we are a very sleep-deprived society. Tonight, we plan to provide information on the importance of sleep for children, how and why we sleep, the many benefits of getting enough sleep, as well as the causes of poor sleep. We are also going to provide some concrete strategies that you can try at home to help your child get a better night's rest. In fact, most of these strategies that we'll share today can actually benefit the whole family, including parents. And at the end, we will provide some useful strategies and resources that you can review on your own. One more thing, throughout this presentation, when we talk about children, this includes the younger child, age 5 to 12, as well as teenagers, age 13 to 17. So let's get started. There has been so much research on sleep over the years, but despite this, the reason why we sleep continues to be a mystery and not well understood. Sleep is a very complex process, and it involves every system in our body. We do know that sleep is an extended period of rest that we experience every single day, and we move into a state of unconsciousness, and our brain, nerves, and muscles go into a kind of rest and recover phase. But even though we're unconscious, our brains are very active. We do know that our brain processes and consolidates information, and that important restoration and strengthening occurs. The other thing that happens during sleep is that we also cycle through various stages of sleep. These stages include both light and deep sleep, as well as the rapid eye movement or REM sleep, where we experience dreams. So why is sleep so important? Well, restoration of our bodies happens during our sleep cycles, including muscle repair, tissue growth, protein synthesis, and release of many of the important hormones for growth. And during sleep, we also produce antibodies needed to fight off infection. So it strengthens our immunity. In addition, while we sleep, there's neural reorganization and growth of the brain structure and function. And this is important for problem solving, sorting, and storing information. And here's a really interesting fact. By the time a child is 18, they will have slept about 40% of their life. This is pretty remarkable and demonstrates just how important sleep is for brain growth and development during this time, as well as their overall mental and physical health. So now let's talk about circadian rhythm. You may have heard about this term before. Our bodies work on a natural sleep-wake cycle called the circadian rhythm. This is part of our internal clock, which causes us to feel sleepy at night and awake during the day. Our desire for sleep is based on light levels detected by our eyes and temperature cues that send messages to our brains. And as darkness falls, our body temperature drops and our brain produces a hormone called melatonin. This hormone is produced in the pineal gland of the brain, and it is responsible for making us feel sleepy. The melatonin helps to regulate our circadian rhythm, and this circadian rhythm runs on an approximate 24-hour time clock. Melatonin levels are the highest at night and decrease during the day when we are exposed to light. Another fact is that our circadian rhythm changes over the lifespan. So with children specifically, younger children have an earlier rhythm than that of teens. For example, before puberty, the melatonin is released earlier in the evening, so children feel sleepy around 8 or 9. But after puberty, this timing will shift in teens because melatonin is released much later. Teens may not feel sleepy until 10, 11, or even later, and this is called a sleep phase delay. This is a very natural process that happens to all teens, but it can also create issues related to sleep. Parents might notice that their teen is staying up later because they don't feel tired. They feel very tired in the morning because they go to bed late, and they often sleep in on weekends. We will be talking about many strategies that can be used to support teens in getting a good night's rest later on in this presentation. So let's take a look at some sleep statistics. Despite how important sleep is, stats from the Public Health Agency of Canada in 2018 indicate that children are not getting the recommended amount of sleep. In addition, every 2 years, the Centre for Addiction and Mental Health conducts a well-being survey called the Ontario Drug Use and Health Survey. In 2021, these stats revealed that only about half of students in grades 7 to 12 were getting the recommended 8 to 10 hours of sleep. Participation also released data about youth and sleep and found similar results from the same time period. So why are these stats so low? Well, some reasons may include that children and teens and families in general are busy in the evening with sports, after-school activities, homework, studying, or an after-school job. Too busy during the day with less free, unstructured time can result in feeling overextended and lead to willingly delaying sleep in a type of revenge procrastination. Interestingly, humans are the only mammals to delay sleep. People also want to have some me time and spend the late evening hours awake and doing what they missed during the day instead of going to sleep. For children, especially teens, this may mean spending time on social media, gaming, watching movies, or chatting with friends until late into the night. But the participation report strived to emphasize the importance of sleep by stating that it is important to change the social norm that considers sleep to be a waste of time. Sleep should be seen as a critical daily behavior that is as important as physical activity and healthy eating for health and wellness. So how much sleep do children need? The Public Health Agency of Canada is recommending the following sleep times. Age 5 to 13 should get between 9 and 11 hours of sleep a night, and teens 14 to 17 should be getting 8 to 10 hours of sleep a night. The amount of sleep that children and teens need is very important because the brain is growing and developing and maturing, and consistent sleep ensures that learning and memory are functioning to the best possible degree. So now let's talk about the benefits of getting enough sleep. Really, this is for everyone, including parents. Overall, mood and mental health are improved, and we know that sleep and mood are very closely connected. There have been quite a few studies done about mood and mental health. We know that getting adequate sleep can enhance overall well-being. And one study, for example, found that improving sleep was associated with better mental health regardless of the severity of mental health difficulty. In addition, children can deal with stress better. Also, children will have increased energy because a good night's rest will help to refuel the body physically. Kids are more alert, they have increased focus, concentration, and memory. And again, lots of research on the impact of sleep on memory and learning. The brain carries out its most sophisticated functions during our sleep period. Getting a good night's rest helps with memory consolidation, which is really important for learning new information. This can translate to optimal school performance, including feeling more productive and efficient. Sleep also results in fewer accidents and injuries for everyone. Several studies have demonstrated that accidents and injuries increase in the week after we move to daylight savings time and lose an hour of sleep. There's also a reduced risk of illness and health problems because sleep helps to strengthen our immune system. So now we're going to talk about what you may notice when your child is not getting enough sleep. Much of this information will be the exact opposite of what I've just presented, but will paint a picture of a child who may be struggling with sleep and some of the important behaviors and indicators that you may notice. First of all, daytime sleepiness. Children that are not getting enough sleep may demonstrate many types of behaviors, including reduced energy levels and fatigue at various times of the day. For example, many teens like to nap, not just for 20 minutes or half an hour, but for several hours when they get home from school because they are just not getting enough sleep at night. There's also the impact on children's physical health and immunity, and studies show that people who don't get quality sleep or enough sleep are more likely to get sick after being exposed to a virus, such as like a common cold. Lack of sleep can also affect how fast you recover if you do get sick. Lack of sleep over the long term can actually impact physical health. It can affect growth and stress hormones, leading to an increased risk of cardiovascular disease, stroke, diabetes, and obesity. And of course, we've already talked about injuries. We know that lack of sleep can lead to poor decision making, impulsivity, slowed reaction time, reduced ability to assess a situation and plan accordingly, and correct behavior. And there is more. Behavioral issues are quite common. You might notice children not listening and even becoming hyperactive, especially with younger children. There could be difficulties also with emotional regulation. This is very common, and the child is especially cranky, irritable, moody, or oversensitive. For example, they may cry more than usual or become angry. Chronic poor sleep may also increase the risk of developing a mood disorder like anxiety or depression. In fact, poor sleep can also be a symptom of a mood disorder. It can be a vicious cycle whereby a lack of sleep can contribute to mood disorders, and mood disorders can also contribute to poor sleep. Anxiety and stress increase agitation and keep the body aroused and alert, preventing sleep. And we've already talked about how sleep affects memory, learning, and focus. And with poor sleep, this can translate into poor school performance. And it goes without saying, really, that all of this can make it very stressful for the whole family and disrupt family functioning. So now I'm going to pass it over to Clara and Martha, who will talk more about the factors that cause poor sleep and provide some excellent sleep hygiene tips.
There are many factors that can contribute to poor sleep, everything from inconsistent sleep routines, use of caffeine, excessive napping, and tech devices. In order to combat some of these causes of poor sleep, there are many useful tips and strategies that are all part of something called sleep hygiene. Sleep hygiene is a variety of practices and habits that promote sleep. Good sleep hygiene practices can have a big impact on the quantity and quality of your child's sleep over time. In order to have good sleep hygiene, there are various strategies that will help promote a good night's rest for your child. I'm going to start by talking about avoiding caffeine and nicotine during the day, the importance of being active, creating an environment that's conducive to sleep, and keeping bedtime tech free. Then Martha will talk about bedtime routines, reducing stress, and calming practices, as well as other strategies. So we're going to start the conversation with caffeine and sleep. Caffeine is a frequently used substance, especially by teens. It is a powerful stimulant that helps you stay awake. Caffeine is found in many products such as coffees, teas, energy drinks, pop and colas, iced tea, and even chocolate. Caffeine is also hidden in some popular coffee shop drinks, like refreshers. So beware, caffeine is in a lot of places. People use caffeine in the morning to help them wake up, but the caffeine stays in their system for a long time, up to 7 hours. So that means if you consumed a 100 milligram caffeinated beverage, 50 milligrams will still be in your system after 7 hours. Thus, drinking caffeinated beverages in the afternoon or evening will still be in your kid's system by the time some teens and kids go to bed. Caffeine blocks a chemical in the brain that helps us go to sleep. This causes fragmented sleep and difficulty staying asleep. One study examined the effects of caffeine intake and found that even caffeine consumed 6 hours before bed could reduce sleep time by as much as 1 hour. Children are at increased risk of side effects from caffeine due to their limited exposure and smaller body weight and size. Caffeine is not recommended for children under 12. For teens 12 to 17 years old, the recommendation is no more than 100 milligrams per day, which is the equivalent to a half to 1 cup of coffee. But if your teen is having trouble sleeping, best to avoid caffeinated beverages and products altogether. Nicotine can also affect sleep, and I know that younger children are not necessarily using nicotine products. However, some teenagers and preteens have tried vaping and are vaping regularly. Many of them are using e-juice with various amounts of nicotine. They vape during the day and in the evening. The problem is that nicotine is a very addictive and powerful stimulant. It increases blood pressure and heart rate, leaving the person to feel more alert and awake. Nicotine makes it more difficult to fall asleep, leads to more time awake in bed, and also increases daytime sleepiness. For these reasons, it is best to avoid nicotine and talk with your child or teen if you are aware they are vaping. Exercise can improve sleep, so let's talk about exercise. We know from CAMH, which is the Center for Addiction and Mental Health, and Participation that children are not as active as they should be. According to CAMH, only 21% of children are physically active for the recommended 60 minutes or more a day. Children and youth 5 to 17 years old should get at least 60 minutes a day of moderate to vigorous physical activity involving a variety of aerobic activities. Younger elementary school children often run around at recess and after lunch daily. However, preteens and high schoolers spend a lot more time sitting. They sit on the bus to and from school and during 5 hours of class time, unless they're in phys ed. In addition, they sit at meal times and while doing homework or studying. This adds up to a whole lot of sitting. Encourage your older child to get involved in some type of physical activity, which can include an organized sport or even just walking or biking to school. Children and youth should also get several hours of light, structured, and unstructured physical activity, such as walking, playing, swimming, perhaps going on a family walk or biking after dinner, maybe playing road hockey, or even taking a yoga class. If they get enough physical activity during the day, this will help them sleep at night. So get moving. Exercise can help you fall asleep faster and sleep more soundly, as long as it's done at the right time. Exercise can actually make you feel alert and awake. This is fine unless you're trying to fall asleep. Try to finish exercising at least 3 hours or more before bed or work out earlier in the day. Keep in mind that children and teens who are in organized sports may be physically active quite late into the evening. Be aware that it is more difficult for them to fall asleep soon after the game. If your child is having chronic issues with falling asleep or late night organized sports, you may need to consider readjusting schedules. The sleep environment can have a big impact on falling and staying asleep. Keeping the bedroom cool, dark, and quiet can help improve sleep. Keep the bedroom cool at 18 to 20 degrees Celsius and well ventilated. Darken the room or use blackout curtains if needed. Your child could even try using an eye mask for sleep. If your child finds dark rooms frightening, it is, however, all right to use a nightlight if needed. In the morning, ensure you open the curtains to allow natural light in to help reduce melatonin levels and set your child's natural circadian rhythm for the next night ahead. Noise can also impact sleep. Some children may find outside noise disruptive. Try to eliminate this by closing the window to street noise or by keeping noise levels low in the family living space. If your child needs background noise to sleep, you could try a white noise machine. It may help. Be adaptive and see what works for your child. Use a comfortable mattress and pillows, and if possible, mattresses should be replaced about every 10 years. You could also try a weighted blanket. This provides security to some children. Reduce stimulation by keeping technology out of the bedroom. For younger children, it would be best to reduce the number of toys, making the room a calm, soothing, restful space. Siblings may also share a room, and this may impact sleep, as they may be at different ages and stages and can disrupt one another's sleep. Try a room divider, or if possible, move one child to another location. Readjust the sleep schedule by having the younger child go to bed earlier. Make sure that the bed is used only for sleeping. Do not use the bed or bedroom for timeouts or punishment. Keep the space as a place to relax and sleep. No eating in bed, as crumbs and bits of food may disturb sleep. The bedroom should not be associated with eating. Children should not be using technology in bed. No texting, watching TV, TikTok, or YouTube videos in bed. Do these activities earlier in the day on a couch or in a chair. Also, children can develop a habit of needing television to fall asleep. Try reading a book together instead, or have your teen read on their own with a physical book, not a screen version. There should be no homework or studying in bed. This is especially relevant for teens. These activities keep our minds active and get in the way of sleep. And lastly, avoid sleeping with pets. If they move around at night, they may cause you to wake up, such as hamsters running on a wheel. Larger pets, such as cats or dogs, take up space on the bed, not allowing for a comfortable sleep position. They may also create additional body heat or contribute to allergies that may keep children up at night. Keep pets out of the bedroom during sleep hours if possible. Technology also needs to be addressed a little further in a more in-depth way. Watching TV, playing games on electronic devices excites our minds and can keep us awake. Is what our children are watching before bed age appropriate and appropriate for them? Scary or frightening content can affect children, causing them to be anxious or scared and not able to sleep. It can also increase chances of waking up at night due to nightmares. Teens and children who use these devices in bed may have more trouble putting them down, hence going to sleep later and shortening their overall sleep period. Set firm limits with children and teens. No texting, phone, television, or computers during sleep hours. Help your children with time management. Ensure homework is done before bedtime hours. Removing electronics from bedrooms allows for children and teens to sleep more restfully with no updates or messages or other such pings to their phone that could disturb their sleep. You could also set their phones to do not disturb an hour before bed, but removing devices and electronics from the bedroom is still the best approach. By keeping bedtime and the bedroom tech-free, this also removes any exposure to blue light emissions from those devices. Blue light is part of the visible spectrum and is emitted from computer monitors, flat-screen TVs, tablets, and phones. Blue light prevents the pineal gland from releasing melatonin, the nighttime sleep-inducing hormone that Jennifer talked about earlier on in the presentation. Thus, this melatonin shifts our body's sleep-wake cycle, making it harder to go to sleep and then harder to wake up in the morning. Teens can be especially sensitive to this. It is recommended that screens should be off at a minimum of 1 hour before bed, but 2 hours would be better. If your child or teen needs their phone for their morning alarm, Try using an alarm clock instead. Overall, the recommendation for daily screen time for children and teens is 2 hours per day. Only 16.5% of children and 3% of teens meet this recommendation. That means most kids are getting way more screen time than that. This additional screen time, especially in the evenings and at bedtime, contributes to poor sleep habits. Thus, keeping bedtime tech-free is the best option. Now Martha will talk to you about bedtime routines.
Consistent bedtime routines will help prepare your child for a good night's sleep. Inconsistent sleep-wake time is one of the biggest reasons for poor sleep. Going to bed and waking up at different times is confusing to the body and affects the body's circadian rhythm. For example, going to bed really late on weekends or holidays, sleeping until noon, and then having to get up early during the week for school. The body likes things to be consistent and regular. Follow the same steps each night, including things like putting on your pajamas and brushing your teeth, can reinforce that it's bedtime. Budget at least 15 minutes for winding down. Take advantage of whatever puts you in a calm state, such as soft music, dim lighting, stretching, reading, or relaxation exercises. Everyone feels stressed or anxious at times, and this can affect your sleep. Worries and emotions, excessive thinking when in bed, not being able to turn off your mind, and feeling overwhelmed with what lots to do can impact your kids. There's stress related to exams, social issues at school or home. There's no shortage of stressors for children and youth. Help your child by suggesting actions that can help alleviate their stress. Some ideas include keeping a journal and writing down thoughts or worries. Try coloring. Mandalas work great. Listen to relaxing music, read a book, take a shower or warm bath, or go for a walk. Doing yoga, stretches, meditation, muscle relaxation, or deep breathing also helps relax the body. Scheduling time during the day to talk with your child or teen about what may be bothering them may also help. Unresolved conflict and tension can impact sleep at night. Spend time listening and validating feelings. Try to do this earlier in the day, as stressful conversations before bed may actually hinder sleep. Save bedtime for love, cuddles, and relaxing conversations so children and teens feel connected and secure before bed. Create a to-do list for the next day. You're less likely to stay up at night worrying about what needs to be done. And plan ahead. Get lunches, breakfast, and backpacks ready the night before. Sometimes clock watching can create a lot of worry. In addition, falling asleep and staying asleep can be challenging for some children. Laying in bed for hours, waiting to fall asleep is not helpful. One recommendation is that if they can't fall asleep after 20 to 30 minutes, get out of bed and do something boring. For example, read a book, do a puzzle, color, or try relaxing. For example, meditate, listen to music, have a warm decaffeinated drink. When they start to feel sleepy, try going back to bed. This strategy can feel like you're making things worse, but if you stick with it, it can really help. The idea is to associate positive feelings and sleep with the bed. Maintaining a balanced diet is also important for sleep. Finish any bigger meals several hours before bed. Avoid foods that could cause indigestion, such as spicy and sugary foods. Stick with easier to digest foods. Dairy and carbohydrates make great light snacks in the evening. You could try cheese and crackers, a banana, or drink a warm glass of milk. Children and teens may need a light snack before bed so that they don't wake up hungry. Make sure to get enough fluids during the day. Drink enough so that you don't wake up thirsty, but not so much that you need to make a trip to the bathroom in the middle of the night. A power nap for a short time, like 20 to 30 minutes, is fine. But many young children and teens are very tired when they get home from school and may fall asleep for several hours. This long napping disrupts the sleep-wake cycle, and it makes it very difficult to fall asleep later in the evening. Frequent long naps are common among teens, but should be limited in order to promote a consistent sleep routine and sleep-wake cycle. For example, instead of napping, suggest to get outside for fresh air, ride a bike, walk the dog, do errands, run, cut the grass, play at the park. It is amazing how energized one feels after being physically active. Sleep should be prioritized as it is beneficial for overall physical and mental health. If your child reports sleep issue or if parents notice that the child is, for example, tired, moody, having difficulties with sleep, review the situation and assess sleep patterns. Try the suggestions discussed in this presentation. If difficulties continue, then it is always best to make an appointment and speak further with the healthcare provider. There may be more reasons why a child is not sleeping well, and an assessment and discussion with the healthcare provider is warranted. The sooner that sleep issues can be resolved, the better it is for the child and the family as a whole. In addition, snoring, insomnia, restless leg syndrome, night terrors are outside the scope of this presentation, but these would warrant an appointment with a healthcare provider for further assessment. There are many resources available for parents. The Canadian Pediatric Society, Caring for Kids are great websites, along with various others. We have provided a few videos from the Child Mind Institute and numerous about sleep in children and teens. We have enjoyed presenting to you on this very important topic of sleep hygiene. We hope you will find this information helpful for you and your family. Are there any questions?
Joining us. Um, I just have to say that that video was so well prepared and contained so many important and useful tidbits. In fact, I kept going through each of the points and thinking, okay, we do that. Uh-oh, we don't really do that one. And so I'm really grateful also to the Middlesex London Public Health Unit team who has graciously agreed that following tonight's seminar, then we can post a recording, an edited version of the recording for folks to be able to review. And I know myself, given that I have a couple of children at home, will also be going back to review it. Caitlin, glad to see you as well. Um, I know that you and I were reviewing and communicating about all of the really excellent information contained about sleep hygiene for children and adolescents. No problem.
The other piece I know we had discussed earlier that I just want to touch back upon when it comes to accessing healthcare, because we realize that not everybody has the same access to healthcare, whether it be a family physician or otherwise. And I believe it was you, Tiffany, who was mentioning just this idea of telehealth and that they serve as a really good connection point. So if you are struggling with, I don't even know who I would turn to for this, who is the right medical practitioner or otherwise, they serve as a really good connection point. So that's another recommendation there. Thank you for asking that. And another question has come in, so I'll pass and see if our public health nurses have a thought about this one. It says, are there any natural ways to help a child sleep at night? So somebody who might be having some trouble sleeping, what are some natural ways that might help them to feel more sleepy?
Hi, it's Clara. I can address maybe this one if I think we've addressed hi. I think we've addressed this one somewhat in the presentation. I know the question, I saw the question come in earlier and it was in a little bit earlier, so maybe it was before we had actually gone some of the few sleep hygiene practices. But I think looking at what your child's behaviors are and patterns and trying to figure out what may be the issue that's causing the poor sleep. And I would just recommend trying the various different strategies we talked about. I mean, really, a lot of them are behavioral and they're all really natural strategies. I would try those first. You know, are they waking up because they're hungry? Do they need a snack before bed? Are they waking up because there's too much stress in their life? They have too many activities. It could be something like that. So just to kind of figure out, are you noticing that again, they have like a late night activity and perhaps that is causing them to stay awake because they've been exercising quite late in the day, and then it's causing them to actually not be able to get that rest and get enough of those hours. So I would just kind of look at your child first, see if you can figure it out, try different things. And if that's still not working, then we would definitely recommend talking to your healthcare practitioner, because it could be something else. They could have restless leg syndrome. They could have ADHD. There could be various things that are impacting their sleep. So that would be my recommendation.
For you just to again thank you for attending this evening, but also a huge thank you to Clara, Jennifer, and Martha for really that incredibly detailed and helpful presentation about sleep hygiene for children and youth. What an excellent thing that I intend myself to return to and just revisit from time to time as my children grow and develop. I just want to make sure that I'm attending to their different needs, and sleep really is that beautiful pillar of mental health and well-being. And so I know that in our business, we appreciate that mental health is health, noting that our physiological health and our mental health are always interconnected. And so we know the importance of good quality sleep practices in the lives of our children and youth for their overall well being. And even if we can't check yes to every single suggestion that we saw in the presentation, what's really excellent about the information we just received is that we can say, oh, I'm doing that one. Oh, maybe that's one I want to pay attention to. And then furthermore, some of the like more kind of long-term or routine suggestions, those are things that you're working on, right? So um, we
Tiffany,
just want
I'm
to,
gonna jump
yes, go
in just
ahead.
because we have one more question and we do have a bit more
Great.
time, so I want to make
Yes,
sure
of
we get to
course.
it.
Absolutely.
An interesting question that for our public health nurses is, what are the opinions with regards to essential oils to help for sleeping? So sometimes
Oh,
having kind of that aromatherapy approach. Is there any guidance?
a good question. I'm glad you interrupted. Good.
That's it's a really good question because I know that a lot of people will often turn to essential oils. I mean, lavender, chamomile tea, that kind of thing. I think, I think we have to be cautious because they're children. Um, Scents can sometimes create issues, and herbs should still be considered medication, even though it's not a medication type that we take like a pill. Herbs and all that should be in essential oils, however they're being used. For example, I'm just thinking something that you might take by mouth. I think we still have to be cautious about it. Even like I'm thinking melatonin is something that's really popular with a lot of people. We have to be super cautious with our children and any kind of medication. I would still be talking to the healthcare provider about that just to make sure it's right for your child. Certainly, some of these, like the scent of lavender or maybe a bubble bath, might be relaxing to them. It might be fine. Um, but, I think just be cautious and you know your child best. And if you have any concerns, you might reach out to the pharmacist or your healthcare provider just to make sure that it's right for your child. Because there's a lot of stuff out there. And like I said before, especially like I'm thinking melatonin, for example, that isn't something that we would ever recommend for a child. There's so many dosages and there's so many ways that one could take melatonin. It's from syrup to gummies to sublingual tablets and dosages that range from 1 to 10 milligrams. So there's all these things that I think people should be considerate of when they're thinking of their child and whether something is right for them. Just because we take it as adults doesn't mean it's necessarily right for younger children. And it could come thinking of if they're on any medication, for example, or if there's any health issues, there could be something that, we have to be cognizant of. I'm not sure if I've
Thank you for that. I recognize that there are certain things related to sleep that kind of go beyond what would be in a typical nurse practitioner or public nurse
yeah.
scope, right? In terms of what would be considered a medical recommendation or an evidence-based back or like recommendation. So sometimes there's some of those gray areas. And for that participant, I realize we've mentioned a few times looking at some of those strategies that were mentioned. And in the case of being able to like not be here on time, we recognize that there might be some key pieces that the public health nurses did share, and we, like I said, we'll get that to you as soon as possible. But I do see another hand up. Oh, Went back down.
Can I just add one more thing? In
Yeah.
all the research that we've ever done on the strategies, and we've listed a ton, and we've gone through Canadian Pediatric Society, Caring for Kids, not once have we ever seen anything about essential oils, diffusers, lavender, chamomile, melatonin. Like it's never been mentioned as a key strategy that people should be using. So I just wanted to let you know that we've listed the key recommendations that we've seen over and over again with all the research that we've done. It seems to be really, really consistent. And that the lavender and all that, I'm not saying it won't work and that it's not right for a child, but we never came across it. So that would be
And I
sort of
think
like
that's a
your
really helpful point.
alternative.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. That's a helpful point that what you've offered up in this seminar, this presentation, is really based in, you know, long-standing science around
Yeah.
the, the establishment of some really excellent quality universal practices. And so,
Evidence-based,
yes,
evidence-based. Yes.
absolutely. And so starting with these, and then, each family finds what is complementary to them or what's meaningful and safe for them. And so I think that's really helpful guidance to just stick with, what we've got here and the the elements here, and then see where it can take you in establishing that sleep and well-being. Yes, excellent point, Caitlin. Thank you very much. And thank you for also bringing it to the audience's attention that we've provided the contact information on the screen here. So, again, just to offer a resounding thank you and gratitude toward our partners who proudly represented London Middlesex Public Health Unit for being part of this community of folks willing to partner for, offering education, care, and support to our caregivers through this project. You can see contact information for myself or Caitlin here. These are live links on your slide, and you can send us an email if you wish or need to follow up with us privately after the fact. Um, just to conclude, should anyone have any more questions or require more information about our project overall, this slide does highlight those key contacts. We would also greatly appreciate a few moments of your time to complete a feedback survey about tonight's session. It really helps us to continuously improve and provide our presenters with your feedback about your experience during the presentation. And again, really just providing this feedback or, giving us suggestions for future presentations or future partners really helps us to serve the community in improved ways as we move forward. So thank you again to our presenters. We would want to highlight our website and please return there so you can find information about past and future workshops, the feedback form, like we said, a suggestion box for future topics or community partners. And then at the top of that very same site, there's that ability for you to join that mailing list. So joining our mailing list will keep you up to date on all upcoming offerings from this series and from our partners. So thank you for joining us at 7:31, one extra minute. We do wish everyone well on your daily journey, and we hope that you join us again for future workshops. Please go out and enjoy some of that sunshine out there that's finally shining through my window. Take care and all the best to you. Hope to see you again.
Have a wonderful night, everyone.